Let's talk about reading The Great Gatsby. This video is the first in a series I'll be doing on reading the classics with your book club. There are some book clubs that are devoted to only reading the classics, but most book clubs don't. And I think a lot of them would enjoy the classics if they just gave them a try. So The Great Gatsby is a great place to start. Year after year, my students tell me this was their favorite book from high school, and there's a good reason why. The Great Gatsby is very readable and really enjoyable to read. So it's not written in flowery 19th century prose with long convoluted sentences, but it is beautifully written, and don't be fooled, it's more complicated than it appears at first. So I'd like to give you and your book club 3 things to think about as you read and talk about The Great Gatsby. The first one is that the chronology is a little bit twisted. The novel opens in the first 3 chapters with 3 different gatherings or parties, and you meet a lot of characters in those first 3 chapters. Everything seems to be moving along chronologically, but before long you realize that Gatsby's backstory is being filled in, and it's not being filled in chronologically. You're learning things out of order, and you're also learning things that contradict one another. So as the novel progresses, the chronology of what's happening and what's happened in the past becomes more and more complicated. It's something to pay attention to as you read, and something to talk about with your book club after you've read. A second thing you'll want to pay attention to is the language itself. So Fitzgerald is not, as I said, writing in flowery, long sentences, but he is choosing his diction very carefully. It looks simple, but it's not. So pay attention to how the language serves the story, serves the tone of what's being said, and serves the plot as well. Here's just a quick example from a passage early in the novel. The wind had blown off, leaving a loud, bright night, with wings beating in the trees, and a persistent organ sound as the full bellows of the earth blew the frogs full of life. The silhouette of a moving cat wavered across the moonlight, and turning my head to watch it, I saw that I was not alone. 50 feet away, a figure had emerged from the shadow of my neighbor's mansion, and was standing with his hands in his pockets, regarding the silver pepper of the stars. That's Gatsby. You and your book club could easily spend 10 or 15 minutes just playing around with the language in a passage like that, and the novel is full of them. Another thing that's worth thinking about and talking about when you read The Great Gatsby is the theme of the American dream. That's often what this book is said to be about. And it's worth noting that one of the reasons I think this book is still so important in American culture 90 years after it was written is that theme of the American dream, and the fact that a lot of what Fitzgerald is saying in this novel extends to our experience today. So give that some thought as you read. What is it that's made this novel so compelling to people for so many decades? I'd recommend that you try to work with a copy of the book that has the original cover art on it the way this one does. It's really interesting cover, and as you read you can also think about what the illustrator of this cover was thinking and what's drawn out of the story to represent the novel in its very first impression on the front of the book. One final note about this novel. I had taught it quite a few times before I saw the 2013 film The Great Gatsby, directed by Baz Luhrmann and starring Leonardo DiCaprio. I have to say that I never really felt that I understood the character of Gatsby until I saw DiCaprio's portrayal of him. So if you're interested in going to see a film after you've read the book, skip over Redford and Farrow and go straight to DiCaprio. His performance is unbelievable, and for me, he broke open this novel in a way that reading it several times hadn't done. I hope you'll enjoy your reading of The Great Gatsby, and stay tuned for some more videos coming up on reading the classics with your book club. Read on!